Yes, people, welcome to another episode of Beam. I'm your host, JR. Today, I'm sat with a definition of a boss, founder of Europe's largest product discovery box for natural hair, founder of a great workshop called the Teen Experience for teenage girls, Jamelia Donaldson. How are you doing?
Well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Good. Thank you for so much for allowing us to interview today. Um, I know I talked about Europe's largest product discovery box. Treasuretress is the name. Make sure everyone knows that. Explain what Treasuretress is.
So we started as a monthly discovery box. So the origins of like why the business was even created was because I've always been absolutely obsessed with hair since I was like 4 years old. I got used to getting in trouble in school for doing people's hair. And then when I was about like 14, 15, I started getting paid to do people's hair in secondary school. And then I was doing people's hair after school. And then I got to university and actually, no, sorry, I got to about 16 and I decided that I didn't want to wear my hair in its natural state because I thought it was childish. I wanted to wear my hair straight all the time.
Okay.
And my mum didn't allow me to relax my hair. So I used to literally straighten my hair like every 2 weeks. And then I went to a hairdresser's and she was like, what are you doing? Like, you should just embrace your natural texture. And I was like, okay. And then when I got to university, I discovered like the natural hair community on YouTube.
Right.
And there were so many black women who had like really long, full, luxurious hair and they were like black. And I was like, oh, right, I didn't realize that as black women, we had the potential to take care of our hair and for it to flourish that way.
Yeah.
So I started ordering like any products that I saw them using, I was ordering it. And that resulted in me spending like £80 a month buying products off of Amazon.com,
Wow.
getting them shipped over from the US. So like the delivery, the customs, it was just mad. And then I went to spend some time in New York because I used to work in asset management. And when I was there, I noticed the subscription box, like craze was really picking up. So there was Dollar Shave Club. There were like so many subscription boxes for black women, but there wasn't anything in the UK. So I kind of made like a mental note and I was like, okay, cool. When I get back to the UK, if there's not one for black women in the UK, then I want to create it. So that's essentially how we started and what it started as. But I would definitely say that it's a lot more than that. So we often say that we're not just a subscription box and we have a lot of services that are beyond the box. So we do a lot of like data market research for brands. We do a lot of events that's really core to our business.
Yeah.
Like bringing women together, educating women, creating a community has been one of the things that has really been a pillar of the business so far. Content, we do a lot of like creative campaigns for brands. It's kind of endless. So it started as a subscription box, but it's just continued to evolve and grow to become so much more.
It's amazing, like doing my research, like all the events and what you do for other brands as well is really impactful. And congratulations to you and your team because it's amazing. Where did the name come from? It's an interesting one. Where did the name come from?
Do you know what? It was like just a brainstorm. And I was like, I want something that has some kind of meaning. Like, we always say that it's not a coincidence that like learning to love your hair is called a hair journey. Like that's actually the term that's used in the natural hair industry, but it actually is a journey because as a black woman, you're not used to seeing yourself reflected in media. You're used to beauty being defined as like straight, long, silky hair, like really fair skin, maybe olive skin and like bright colored eyes. But as a black woman, you're literally the opposite of that. So it takes you on like such a mental journey where you have to like look at yourself and think, wow, like my hair's kinking, my hair's curling, my hair's like getting bigger. I can either embrace it or I can fight against it. But when we're fighting against it, it's actually not healthy for our hair.
Yeah.
So it takes you on like this journey of like getting to know yourself and like learning the layers of yourself and just like celebrating yourself more as a black woman. So I was like, I want a name that like encapsulates that experience of like discovering new things about yourself. And like discovery is like a treasure chest. So I was like, okay, it's kind of like a treasure chest, like the box itself is like a treasure chest because you don't know what's in it until you open it and then you see what we've sent you for the month. But likewise, the journey that your hair journey takes you on, it's like a treasure chest. Like you just keep revealing new things about yourself and like finding out new things about yourself. And then I was like, a synonym of hair is tress, so Treasuretress.
Nice. Now, you talked about the journey up until this point and the journey of starting Treasuretress. But doing my research, I heard you was a keen dancer.
How the hell do you know that?
I heard you was a keen dancer. So, like, tell me about that journey dancing. How did that happen?
Oh my God. I have not danced in like 20 years, first of all. But when I was Yeah, my mum was one of them mums that said, I'm going to everything. I went to ballet, I went to jazz, I went to violin, I went to piano. Like, my mum, she's a teacher. She recently retired, but she was a head teacher.
Nice.
But she was like, you have to do everything. And like acting, you have to do it all. And then you can like figure out what your passions are. So when I was young, I didn't really like ballet. So I stayed with like jazz, and then I learned street. And then when we were growing up, it was about 9, we moved to Atlanta, and then that's when I went to like an all-black dance school, and that was like amazing for me.
Atlanta's an amazing place, amazing place.
So I was like, oh, this is incredible. I was really enjoying it. And then I got to like 11, 12, and it was like, I can continue dancing, or I can like really throw myself into academia. And I was like, do you know what, let me do that, because it seems like, I don't know, quote unquote, the safer option.
Yeah.
So I stopped dancing then, and I literally have not danced since. But I do love it.
No, amazing. And then talk to me about just before Treasuretress and just before the chance to go full time, or not the chance, sorry, the decision to go full time. Following your journey, become a lawyer was probably the first road that you was going to go down. What influenced you to take that journey at that time to potentially become a lawyer?
Again, my mum. So my mum was like, I really loved hair. Like, it was undeniable. Like, I just could not keep my hands out of my own hair or someone else's hair. And I was expressing to my mum, like, oh, I really want to be a hairdresser. And again, given her background, Caribbean family, like, it was just not what she had in mind for me. So she was like, you can like do that on the side, but I think that you should do something else. And she was like, you're great at arguing, so why don't you become a lawyer? And I was like, okay, cool. I do like arguing, so I guess law's the route for me. But sadly, I applied for Aston University in Birmingham. After secondary school, I decided to do the International Baccalaureate instead of doing A-levels. So the International Baccalaureate, 7 subjects instead of 4, but it's like ridiculous pressure, because you have to perform at A-level standard for all of the subjects.
Right.
So to do law, you had to get 34 points, and I got 32 points.
2 points?
And it was like, I was devastated. Like, I'm a drama queen at the best of times, but I was genuinely crying. Like, I thought my life was over. I was like, I've always wanted to do law. Like, how can I not become a lawyer? What am I going to do? So that felt like a dead end. But my mum was like, well, you can do law. You can do it at another university. But I'm also quite stubborn. So I was like, no, I've got my mindset on Birmingham. Like, I really want to go there. I really want to experience it. So then the other courses that were available were like a variety of different things. But I decided on business and international relations because I love traveling.
Right.
I wasn't at all interested in the business aspect of it. Like, didn't really care. I just wanted to be able to travel during my university time, and that course allowed me to do that. So I decided on business and international relations instead of law.
Nice. And then is that where you had the chance to go to New York?
Yes.
And I think it was Beijing as well, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience for you?
Oh, it was eye-opening, and I think the beauty of retrospect is that you're always able to like connect the dots. So it's only when I have conversations that are like this, I'm like, oh yeah, there was an experience in Beijing that led me to this point and like led me to the idea for Treasuretress. So when I went to Beijing, somehow I lost my brush, and I think I ran out of conditioner and gel, and it is so humid there. So my hair wasn't behaving on the best of days anyway, but now I had nothing to like style my hair with, but I had to go into an office of like people that looked nothing like me, and I already stand out. I didn't need my hair to do the most as well. So I was like, okay, cool. What can I use to like at least do a slick bun? And I went across the road, and there was a Russian supermarket, and there was like, obviously there was no products for Afro hair.
Yeah.
So I remember picking up like Herbal Essences conditioner. This is before they like started to enter the natural space. And I picked up a shoe brush because that was the closest thing to a bristle brush.
Right.
And I literally had to style my hair with a shoe brush and some Herbal Essences stuff and some watery gel. And at that point, I was like, it's mad that like as a black woman, you can't get, like, there's not stuff for you available anywhere in the world. And even when we look at delivery, there was no business that I could have ordered from at the time that would have delivered the products that gave me everything that I needed to take care of my hair for that duration.
Right.
So again, now that I look back, I'm like, oh, that was like a good hint to say like Treasuretress wash day experience delivered to your door. That was a good idea for the business then.
Definitely.
And then New York was like the complete opposite. New York was like natural hair heaven. It's where I like discovered so many of the natural hair events, met so many bloggers, met a lot of brands. And yeah, there was just an endless amount of products available. So it was like the two completely conflicting experiences, but both just showed the necessity of that product and that service in the UK market. Because on one end, we're not like Beijing where you can't find anything. but we're definitely not New York, where
Exactly.
there's every single brand in the world on the shelves in Target. So yeah, it was like I was drawing inspiration from both of those
Yeah,
experiences.
it's crazy because at the time you probably didn't know that experience was going to set you up for today. Do you know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
had
In
no
terms of
clue.
where your business is at the moment. But you're an entrepreneur, and I think many entrepreneurs out there have to make a decision at some point. You talked about NYC, you talked about Beijing, but at some point you came back and went into finance. Talk to us about that experience.
I would like to say it was a really intentional decision, but in reality, it wasn't. In Beijing, I worked for free. So I was interning for free for the month. And then New York, I was out there for like 8 months for free. I was working like any internship I could get on, I got on. So me and my friend, when we was in university, we knew that the third year was going to be our placement year.
Yeah.
Everyone was applying for like investment banks, consultancy firms. But we were like, no, I just want to go to New York. Like, I just want the New York experience. So she applied for a role in theatre production. Again, no interest whatsoever. She was studying sociology, but again, she just wanted vibes in New York. So
Just go brand the vibes.
anything, I would have waited tables. I would have done anything just to be in New York. And then I applied for fashion PR again. Like now I'm more into fashion than I was then, but I did not have an interest. I just wanted to be in New York. So I got a fashion PR internship. And then when I was out there, I'd done some networking and I got an entertainment PR internship and had some like really cool experiences through that. But again, it was just like, we just wanted to be in New York for the vibes and the experience, the life experience, like living in Brooklyn in our 20s. It was great.
Nice. And then at what point did you get back to London and take on the role in finance?
Yes. So after the New York experience, it was like, well, we clearly don't have any money because I've been working for free for a year.
Yeah.
I was relying on any savings that I had because throughout university, I always worked part-time.
Okay.
So I saved that money. I think I got like a maintenance grant, so I used that, but I had no money at the end of it. So I was like, right, well, I've got to go somewhere that earns money. And I was like, finance is an industry that makes money, so let me apply for an internship there. So didn't have any context, didn't understand what asset management was really, but I'm quite good at applying myself. Like if I'm determined to learn something, I'll learn it. So I literally studied for that interview like it was an exam. Done really, really well in the interview, and then ultimately done really well in the internship because they offered me a 3-month internship instead of a 1-month internship. And then during that 3 months, they offered me the grad position. So that was just an opportunity that went really well. I wasn't necessarily like passionate about asset management, but I think generally I'm just a curious learner.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, this is an industry. I know nothing about it. Let me see what I can learn.
And you was getting paid as well, which is the main thing.
And I was getting big money at the time.
That was the main thing.
That
You know what I mean?
helps.
Get that big money. The decision to take Treasuretress full time. Now,
Yes.
I want to take a step back slightly. When did you actually, let's say, do you know what? I'm going to launch Treasuretress and put stuff out there. At what point was that during the internship, or sorry, not the internship, during your grad scheme?
Yeah, that was like, I want to say year one of it. I like invited a few of my friends around my house and I was like, look, seen this idea work before. This is what I'm thinking. How much would you pay for it? And then I didn't actually leave until like 2.5 years, 3 years. So I was sitting with the idea for a while. But I decided to launch it as an Instagram page first to like build a community and just like share images of Black women with natural hair because I know that when I was getting used to my natural hair, it really helped me to see other Black women just wearing their natural hair.
Right.
So year one, I had the idea for it. And then by year 2.5, I started feeling like, oh, I really just want to be more creative than like what I'm doing at the moment.
And then, as I said before, as an entrepreneur, at some point, you're going to have to make the decision to either go with your passion or stick into the 9 to 5, doing what you're doing, making good money, but it's not really what you want to do. Talk to us about what point did that come for you? When did you have to make that decision, or when did you decide to make that decision?
To be honest, it wasn't a decision that I wanted to make. I wanted to do both because like for me, I still think that that's like the best situation to be in. Like you're getting a paycheck regardless, and then you still get to be creative and like have this thing on the side. That's what I really wanted. But in reality, it just wasn't practical. Like as it stood, I was waking up at 5, working on Treasuretress for 2 hours, getting ready as quickly as possible to get into the office because my hours were actually meant to be 7 till 7.
Wow.
And then get home, have something to eat, jump back on Treasuretress, and like keep it going like that. And then weekends, packing boxes. but it just wasn't sustainable. I done it for like 8 months, but I was losing mad weight. My skin was looking absolutely terrible. I was looking so run down, and I was just burnt out. Like,
Yeah.
I remember crying one day because I couldn't find my car key on the way out of the house, and I was just like, who am I? Like, what is going on? I'm like actually breaking down. Like, something has to give.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't have any children. I don't have any major, I had one commitment, but I was like, I don't have any major commitments. So let me just see what happens. Like, I won't be this age again. I won't have this opportunity again. So let me just go for it. But at the same time, let me not burn any bridges, because nothing in his life is certain. So there was no, I couldn't be 100% sure that it was going to work out. I couldn't be 100% sure that I wouldn't need to do a U-turn. So it was really important for me to leave gracefully and like keep the relationships, just in case 3 months later I had to be like, hey guys, you see that position?
Yeah,
Need it back.
Need it back. But it's interesting what you say though, because, and it's probably a lesson for everyone watching in terms of building relationships and keeping those relationships. Because a lot of people think, entrepreneurs just jump out there and it's like the world's their oyster and things just start clicking into place. But you was conscious to, you know what I mean, just in case it didn't work out, you kept those relationships. But another key thing is probably family around you. And I ain't gonna lie, like I've spoken to different entrepreneurs and family around them are just like, no, don't do that. No, like don't do it full time, or keep your job on the side and see what happens.
Yeah.
Was that the same experience for you?
Yeah, it was quite a mixed experience. Like, on the one hand, it's because of family that I decided to just like go for it.
Okay.
But on the other hand, it was like family. So I was meant to quit like a year before I actually did. And the first time I was meant to quit, I had like said to my family, oh, by the way, guys, this is what I'm planning. And that did not go well. And that put me off for another year. And then at that point I quit. And then I told my family the day after, like, oh, by the way, I've got 1 more week left. And actually, I think it was like 3 weeks notice. I've got 3 weeks left and then I'm done. And at that point, it was too late for them to push back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the younger members of my family, so it was actually my little cousin, and she was like, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm just really tired. Like, I'm trying to do both. And she was like, well, why don't you just quit? And I was like, do you know what? Why don't I just quit? Like, why have I overthought this so much?
Yeah.
And then my brother's always been like very entrepreneurial from a young age. So I think I've seen him do it. I've seen him do stuff. So I just thought, yeah, I think I can do that as well. But on the flip side, as I said, my mum's like very academic. Her mum was a teacher. So I come from like a lineage of women who are very big on education. So from her and like her friends, it was very much like, no, like you've got such a good job. Like, do you know how long it takes people to earn the amount of money that you're earning?
Yeah.
Like, no, you should just stick with it. Like, try to do both. But now they're like my biggest supporters.
Yeah.
But I think at the time they hadn't seen it done before, or at least not so intimately. So there wasn't any reassurance for them. So yeah, it was 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah.
And I'm sure women around the world are glad you made that decision.
I hope so.
You know, when they receive their boxes, they're very happy. So, when you decided to go full time with Treasuretress, talk about the journey, because I've seen pictures of you in your bedroom, packing the boxes, doing it yourself, and then we'll show people that during the interview, but we're in the amazing offices at the moment. It looks incredible with staff and everything. So talk about that journey from your bedroom to this amazing space.
Boy, I feel like year one was like me figuring it out. I think I had some like interns reach out that didn't really work out. Year two, I had a customer reach out and actually come on board for an intern, and they were really strong. So by year three, I recruited them full time. It was kind of a promise that I made. I said like, oh, by the way, like when you graduate, I want to bring you on full time. Didn't have the revenue to do it. Didn't know how I was going to do it, but I done it eventually. And then someone else that I knew came on board. So initially my hires were like people that I knew or people that knew the business quite intimately. And then I think that works for like the first 3-4 years of business. But I do think that it gets to a point where you need like people that are specialists, or like people that just have a variety of different experiences in a variety of different companies of a variety of sizes that can start to also come in and teach you things. So bit by bit we started expanding, and this is going to sound very short, so ask me more questions. But here we are now. We're amazing. A team of like 8 in total. There's 5 of us that are in the office full time. but it's a learning process. Like I've made some forward steps with recruiting, I've made some backward steps, I've like taken some diversions, I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. But I think ultimately managing people teaches you a lot about yourself.
And that was going to be my next question, because I've seen numerous podcasts that you've done and interviews that you've done, and you've openly said you're not good at managing people.
No.
And as someone who's in your position, that's quite a vulnerable thing to say or put out there. But at what point did you start learning that you wasn't good with managing people?
Do you know what? I'm big on self-awareness.
Okay.
And like, it's not that I ever put myself down, but I like to be realistic and I like to set expectations. And one of our company values is actually to under promise and over deliver. So if I tell you I'm not a good manager and I start managing you well, you're going to be happy. That's first of all. But second of all, I like growing people. Like I like seeing potential in people and like giving them opportunities and watching them grow into it. What I don't enjoy is like micromanaging. So maybe that's what I should say. Like, I don't enjoy micromanaging at all. I hate it when I feel as though I have to micromanage. What I really like doing is like managing from afar, like setting people up with opportunities, like maybe throwing them in the dragon's den sometimes, like putting them on a call that they don't know the client too well, or they're like still getting comfortable with pitching and like seeing them flourish. Like I love that. But the micromanagement, it's just like, oh, no.
Everyone hates it. Do you know what? I say everyone, but most people don't like micromanagement, and it's just restricting the person's potential to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but I don't know. For some, people are different though, because for some people they actually need it.
It's needed.
And some people enjoy micromanagement because they like the intimacy of that relationship
and the power, quote unquote.
Yeah. But for me, that's just not it. So I actually. Yeah, I don't know. I'm big on self-awareness and like knowing what your strengths and your weaknesses are. And I know that micromanagement for me is not a strength. Management is something that it's inherent with my role. So it's just something that I just need to get better at.
Yeah.
But I think leadership is probably where I do a lot better than I do management and micromanagement.
Definitely. And you wear two hats, I would say, with Treasuretress, because obviously you're the founder of the company, you manage people, but you're kind of the face of the company as well. Like, how do you toggle between the two? Because that can be a bit of a difficult balance to strike.
I don't think I'm the face of the company intentionally. So like if you were to go on the Treasuretress page, you wouldn't really see me. But I think because of the nature of the business and like because a lot of what I do is for Black women and about Black women, I'll be vocal about stuff that affects Black women, or like if I don't think retailers are pulling their weight, like I'll openly have a conversation about it. Or I just remain very close to the customer and very close to the brands that we work with. So I think it's kind of by default. It's not at all intentional. Like even like we filmed a campaign last weekend and I'm a part of it, but I'm not the main attraction.
Right.
So I don't feel like I have to wear two hats. I feel like all I have to do is be myself and like show up as myself. And
Makes sense. I want to talk about something you touched on around sort of retailers not pulling their weight, and sort of, I suppose, ask a wider question around when you first started, young Black female, got her own business, you must have felt some resistance in business. Like, talk to me about some of the challenges or resistance that you felt as a young Black female.
Yeah, I don't even think that's past tense. I think it's present tense as well.
Okay.
I do, like I say, my team's an all-female team at the moment.
Shout out to them.
But I do say, like, we need to get some male energy up in here because, like, the respect levels are sometimes just not inherently there. So one of the memories that stands out the most was I went to a client meeting and the guy was like, we want to work with Treasuretress, but do you know what? Why don't you just like model for one of our campaigns or something?
What?
And I was like, okay, but that's actually not what I'm here to talk about. So let's talk about the box and we can talk about how you can work through the box. So for me, it was just like moments like that where it's like, I was like 23 at the time. I think I did have the confidence that I needed because I was used to sitting around a table of like middle-aged white men and like having quite intelligent conversations. So it's not even like it was my confidence that was allowing that disrespect, but I think it was just like the underestimation of like what I had plans to do or what the wheels were that were already in motion. So I think it's just generally a thing. I don't think it goes away. I think even now, like there will just be older people in the industry who feel like, I don't need to pay attention to that.
Yeah,
Or like,
yeah,
that's got nothing
yeah.
to do with us. But it's like, no, like we're creating what the industry is going to become. So you
Exactly.
probably need to pay attention.
Definitely.
And I think it's quite ironic because that's actually never my view. Like I always want to hear what the youngest person on my team has to say. Like the youngest person on our team's 18. I'm like, all right, Sasha, what's next? Like, what should we be paying attention to? Like, why are we not as big as we should be on TikTok? Like, what are we not doing? Because I know that like she's the future. She's going to help get us there. But I feel like even now and just in pretty much any industry, it's like, oh, whatever's new, let's just ignore it and let's act like it's not happening until it reaches breaking point, and then I have to do something about it. So yeah, the challenges don't go away. Like, yeah, like being black and being a woman in business, like you're up against two things all the time.
Yeah, and keep going because you're an inspiration for males and females out there with what you're doing.
Thank you.
So keep going because you're breaking down those barriers. But a request from quite a few of my male friends, when I told them I was coming to interview you, they was like, ask her if she can put a box together for dads who've got daughters. Because I don't know if you saw on TikTok, the little meme of the guy who's holding his head and it was time for him to do his daughter's hair. And he was just like, what do I do?
Yes.
So yeah, request from the man them.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Noted.
Daughter daddy box, please.
Noted.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Coming back to Treasuretress, what were some of the first brands that sort of reached out to you and wanted to work with you?
Shout out to Palmer's all day, every day.
Cocoa butter
Because
guys.
they were the first brand to reach out. Like,
Amazing.
Treasuretress had like 900 followers on Instagram, had a landing page that was collecting data. And then when I was looking at the data, I was like, wow, that says at E.T. Brown. Like, that's the company that Palmer's comes from. Like, someone from Palmer's has signed up to show early interest in being a customer. Had a call with them. They sent us the products for the first box. So, yeah. People see Palmer's in the box a lot, but that is why. Because they were the first to like stand behind it. And every year since then, they've stood behind us in every possible way. So, Palmer's.
Shouts out to them, man. And I feel like Palmer's cocoa butter is like part of every black person's culture and childhood in some way, shape or form. So
Absolutely.
shouts out to them. But your business is, in my opinion, unapologetically black. And I love that. But on the flip side, do you feel, and you've talked about it slightly, but do you feel that's held you back in some instances, i.e., for example, funding? Because I'm assuming, right, there's no big venture capital said, oh, do you know what, we'll give you hundreds of millions of pounds to do this. So that, talk to us, sorry, about being a black female, having a black business, and then going for things such as funding.
Yeah. I went into the entrepreneurship world really naive. Like, while I had already been in finance, it wasn't this. So from my mind, I was like, obviously I have to build the business. And then once the business is doing well, then I can get funding. I didn't realize that I can just have an idea and a deck and I can get funding. So I've built Treasuretress from scratch. Like, I think I invested maybe about £1,200 in the first set of boxes, like the actual physical boxes, and then have built the business from there. So for me, all I know is bootstrapping. All I knew was bootstrapping, but it wasn't intentional. It came from naivety, and then it came from frustration, because by about a year and a half, year two, I went to a like open day for an accelerator program, and we got the chance to speak to a few investors, set up a few meetings, and they were like, yeah, I think it's a really good idea, but I think you should also do it for like women with straight hair.
No, we don't want to do that. You don't understand the business.
Yeah, I was like, no, like that's actually not, like that's not a thing. It's not a thing that white women can't find hair products. It's actually a thing that they can find hair products anywhere. So I was like, no. And then I just thought, do you know what? I don't want to waste my time speaking with these investors when I could just build the business, because I'm already working full time. My time's already short. I'm already trying to like wear a million hats. I don't want to waste my time having these stupid conversations. Like, let me just build the business, and then when you come, you'll come. So it's bootstrapping by default and by frustration, because I just didn't want to entertain those conversations. Would I bootstrap now if I was starting a new business? Absolutely not. But I feel like I'm proud of what I've been able to make, and I'm proud of the lessons that it's forced me to learn. Like, there's some stuff that when you're bootstrapping a business, you just can't let slide. Yeah. And I think I've been able to learn those lessons pretty quickly.
Yeah, you should be proud. As I said before, I know I keep bigging you up, but it's important because it's not easy to do what you're doing, and to keep it going as well. So as I said again, amazing work that you and your team are doing. Long may it continue. mentorship and therapy in the Black community is somewhat taboo, if I'm honest with you. And those are things that you're big on, and those are things that you've chose to invest in. But talking more about sort of the mentorship side of things, that must have helped you massively in terms of advancing as a woman, but also your business. So the question is how important is a mentor, would you say?
A mentor is the single most important thing in business.
Wow.
Like, my mentor changed my life, and it's no exaggeration. Like, we had a conversation, we were sat down in a restaurant, and he said, Jamelia, do you want to do this properly? And I said yes. And from that moment, things started changing. Like, he started showing me how to do things, like started making introductions. Mentors can actually change your life, and it's no exaggeration. So I don't think there's anything more important than a mentor. I think you can have the work ethic, you can have the experience, but without a mentor, you can only go as fast as you can take yourself.
Right.
But a mentor will be 10 steps ahead of you and will be constantly like pulling you up to where they are. So I think a mentor is like priceless.
Amazing. Yeah, those people that are in business, go and get a mentor, man, because it's important. She's Obsessed,
Yes.
the podcast.
Yes.
Amazing. I watched a few
Thank you.
episodes. What made you start that up? Another thing that you're doing.
I think just because I have a lot of conversations and I just think I wish more people could hear this. Or there's a lot of things in life that I'm like, why are people lying? Like, it's not as easy as it seems, or like, why is no one telling the truth about certain things? So it's just like me recording the conversations that I have with people that like I don't know, but I respect, or that I know, and like we just have really interesting conversations. So the most recent episode was about like mental health and like healing, and how it's the responsibility of us as individuals to do it, as opposed to like thinking you're going to go through life and just become an amazing human as a result of it. But it was just a nice way for me to balance like what I was learning in business to like personally how I was growing and like what I was learning personally. So it's been really fun. It's been like a nice new creative outlet, but just a way to facilitate conversations where I'm like, why is no one talking about this? Why is no one being honest? Like, why is no one telling the truth?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think the episode I caught was with Trim It. Shouts out to Trim It. They're amazing.
Darren.
Yeah, Darren. Shouts out to them. Yeah, that was a really interesting conversation. So,
Thank you.
But yeah, I talked earlier on, or I mentioned earlier on, the teen experience.
Yes.
Simone Powderly, I know you co-founded that with. Shouts out to her.
Yes.
So yeah, talk to us more about that, because it's an amazing initiative.
Yeah, the teen experience is like the joy of Treasuretress. Like, it's the thing that we look forward to. It's the thing that reminds us why we're even here. So when I was growing up, there was like youth clubs. So on a Wednesday, me and my brother would go to, it was called Triangle Club. We used to go to Triangle Club, and like we would make friends, we'd play sports, we'd play games. And then I think this was like, no, it was while I was working on Treasuretress, I started to think like, if you're a teen now, like, where do you go just to meet people and just socialize?
Yeah.
Youth clubs don't exist. Obviously, social media exists, but is it the healthiest place for teens? Probably not. So I was like, there's actually nowhere for them to go. And at the time, I was doing afternoon teas for like mums and daughters with curly hair, so that mums could learn how to take care of their daughter's hair. Their daughters could be around little girls that look like them. Because again, for me, growing up, that was the thing. Like, there weren't enough images of women that looked like me in the public eye. So I was like, okay, let me create that for younger girls, so that at least from the get-go, they love their hair. And coincidentally, I also had a niece that was around that age. So it was really important for me to put her in environments where she can see other little girls that look like her, have hair like her.
Nice.
So I was doing the mini-me afternoon tea, and obviously I was going to natural hair events myself, which was like 19 upwards. But I was like, if you're in this in-between stage, there's actually nowhere for you to go. So I was like, that's like the teen experience. Like, yeah, we should create something called the teen experience. So I reached out to a few natural hair bloggers, and I was like, hey, would you mind coming in to talk to like Black and mixed race girls between the ages of 12 to 19? It's like personal development workshops. And majority said yes. And then one in particular was Simone, who was like, yeah, but I want to help you bring it to life. Like, I don't want to just do one workshop. And I was like, brilliant, because I've already got my hands full. I don't know what I'm even doing. So like, let's figure it out together. And she's a natural hair influencer. So she already had like a lot of brand connections that I didn't necessarily have. So we were able to bring our skill sets together and develop the workshops. So we've done everything from like personal defense to like writing a CV, learning the process for buying a house, managing your finances, taking
Nice.
care of your hair, learning how to do makeup, we've done a ton of different workshops. But I think the ironic thing about the teen experience is they think that we're teaching them, but they're actually always teaching us. Like the things that I've learned from these girls has been insane. We've got a group of them of like 3 or 4 who met when we first started the teen experience, and now they're in uni.
Nice.
And they're like besties, which is so cute because they met each other through the teen experience. And we actually had a call with them the other day to say like, hey, like, are you guys happy to run some workshops? And they were like, yes, like I'll absolutely do it. But they're just so intelligent. It's insane. They're just so well-spoken, educated, like they're just incredible girls. And one of them said that she wanted to do a workshop. And I was like, okay, like what workshop do you want to do? And she was like, oh, I want to do a workshop about the fact that rest is revolutionary. Wow. And I said, okay, that is what it's called. Like, that's what we're doing there.
That's a powerful workshop,
They're so
that
advanced.
name is powerful.
Yeah. And I was like, when I was your age, I was not even, like, I'm just learning that now. But yeah, they're incredible. The teen experience is like one of the best things that we've done by far.
Amazing, amazing. Well, looking forward to more workshops like that. And where can people, if they wanted to join the teen experience in the future, where can people sort of like find out more about it or try and get involved?
I would definitely say follow at the teen experience on Instagram.
Yeah.
And sign up to our newsletter on the Treasuretress website, because we'll always send out an email to say like, hey, this is what we're working on. Tickets are available here first, and then they'll become available to the public.
Yeah, excellent. We talked a lot about females, black females in business.
Yes.
And, I think it's important that the male does play a role in the black female. And what I mean by that is, like, how can we support you as a black female in your journey? Because it's not just up to females to push this narrative forward. Males can do something.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure many males know what to do. So what can we do?
I think it's just about being intentional. Like the fact that you said, no, we've intentionally made the decision to involve more women, have more conversations with females. Like that is an intentional step. I think that's actually it. Like when you're like working on new projects, or you're like looking for new people to collaborate with, like just looking and saying how many of these names are men's names and how many of these names belong to women or females. I think it's literally as simple as that. Like, are there women in the room? Are we getting a range of perspectives from various different women? Like, it's not a tick box exercise where it's like one woman. I think it's ultimately treating it how we expect white people to treat the workplace. We don't expect a company that's 99% white to be 1% black. And I think it's the same for like genders. Like you don't expect it to be skewed, except for my company, 99% one way and then the 1% elsewhere. So I think it's like the same approach. Like, are there women in the room? Are we hearing the voices and stories of women? If not, even if it's a platform just for men, then yeah, let's get them in. Yeah, well, shouts out to the men, and you know what I mean? Like, make sure you're doing that, men. Be intentional. You heard her. Very good. A lot of people look up to you. I know you're quite modest, but they do. What advice would you give to, especially young black females that want to get into business? What advice would you give to them? Find that mentor, girl. Not even mentor, because I actually believe mentors should be plural. Like I don't just have one mentor, and in my history I've not just had one mentor. It's always like several. So find mentors. But in business, the most important thing is to be led by your customers. Like, I think there is like an image, there's like the boss bee image, where it's like, I know everything, like I run my own business. No, like your customers run you. Let's not get it twisted. Like what your customer says goes, because without your customers, you don't have a business. Exactly. So you have to be customer led in everything that you do. And I think that's the most important thing in business. And when we think about like businesses that have communities, it's like, yeah, because they actually listen to their customers, and like, if a customer makes a suggestion, they implement it. Or if a customer says we want this type of event, we do it. If a customer says, oh, Treasuretress, you never come to our city, we put it in our plans to do so. So I think being customer-led is by far the most important thing, and being aware of the data. I'm not a data scientist, but I understand the value in numbers. Like, they just don't lie. Like, what are the pieces of content that people are paying attention to? Like, what are the places in your website that people are going to? When do your sales spike and when do they dip? Like, all of that stuff is really, really important, but also ties back to being customer led. Like, everything, you need to build your business around your customers and your clients. And boy, do you know what? Next question is around data and the Treasuretress white paper that you've just released. Yes. Very interesting.
I've got the snippet. I've signed up for the full version, so I'm waiting for my version to come through. But interesting fact, and I think I've got my numbers correct, but I will try my best to not get it to get it correct. But I think black females make up 10% of the spend in the hair and beauty arena, but I think they're represented is at 2%. 2%. Yeah, general population. Sorry, thank you. That is crazy. That is crazy.
Actually, it's crazy, but what I love about the white paper and what I've loved about bringing it to life is that it's actually just proven everything that I knew.
Yeah.
Like I knew, like we know black women spend mad money on beauty because like we love celebrating ourselves, like we love doing up our hair, we love dressing up, we love putting on makeup because it's just a part of our culture. Not to say that our counterparts don't, but I would just say not to the same extent. Let's be honest.
It's true.
And I think it also has something to do with the fact that we live in England, like we live in UK, which is a predominantly white society, whereby we're faced with all kind of oppositions. And as black women, you can't just rock up to work anyhow. Let's be honest. Like when you work in corporate, you need to present yourself in a certain way because you're already the black girl. You can't be the rundown black girl. So you already have to like present yourself in a certain way, which takes money. So we already know that black women are spending more than white women, but the report allowed us to show that. Likewise, we know that black women are not going to Tesco to buy hair products.
Nope, not at all.
But in America they are, which is interesting. So it's like, it's not that it's not a black thing, it's just not a black thing here. And it's not because of us, it's because of the retailer. So like 59% of African American women buy their products in supermarkets, 1% of black British women do.
Wow.
But when we're speaking to brands, they're saying, yeah, this is our strategy for African American women and we're going to do the same in Europe. And it's like, actually, no, you're not, because we're not the same. Like, African American women and black British women put us side by side, we look similar, but we have different experiences, we have different spending habits, we're culturally very diverse. So you can't just like form one strategy and try to put it on our region as well. Like you actually have to treat us with the same respect. Like, okay, this is your profile for the African American consumer. This is what your profile needs to be for the black British consumer. Yeah,
and there needs to be that flexibility from suppliers and brands. Like it's not a one shoe fits all sort of approach. But yeah, look, it's been an amazing conversation. What's next for you, Treasuretress? What can we look forward to?
Next for me, Treasuretress is the official trend report. So that's what we're working on at the moment.
I'm waiting for mine. I'm waiting.
And we're actually working on it with Translate Culture. They're actually in this building.
Nice.
And they're I don't know their brand slogan, but I don't want to butcher it, but I will tell you what they do. They're like specialists in data, but they do the job of like translating data and helping brands connect to culture.
Wow.
So they're helping us bring the trend report to life. And thankfully, one of my old lecturers has come on board to help us develop it as well, which is really exciting.
Shit.
So it's going to be next level. And then outside of that, we've got a lot of activations coming up, and not just in London. So we'll be about. Well, Jamelia, as I said before, and I keep saying it, congratulations to you and your team. You're doing amazing work. Looking forward to the Treasuretress journey. And remember that daddy-daughter box, please. Yes. Yeah. Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been fun.
Amazing.
I want to actually help you bring it to life. Sorry. I don't know who it is.